The drive to recruit more women to senior roles globally is a well-known one. And while the number of female chief executives is growing, progress is still slow. The latest McKinsey report indicates that women are still underrepresented at board levels and more so in executive roles. So how does Asia compare to the rest of the world? And in particular, how are Australian women placed in this market compared to home? Well, a recent Australian survey indicates that living and working in Asia is the key to getting ahead.
There is a lot of opportunity for women in Asia, and I think that's a product of the economic growth that we're seeing out here.
She spent most of her career in IT and the last 16 years working in the United States and Hong Kong. As a senior director at global technology corporate Symantec, Heidi Badgery knows where the future growth opportunities lie.
In a couple of years, Asia will account for 35% of the world's economy. And for multinationals, non-Asia-based multinationals, the percentage revenue contribution to the company from Asia is increasing by a couple of percentage points every year. And that's just revenue.
Heidi Badgery has held several global and regional portfolios at Symantec. She's also led the program overseeing 22 of the company's largest global accounts, which helped double the year-on-year revenue growth. She believes women are playing a significant role in the economic rise across the region.
I do think there's a lot more opportunity in Asia, and I think the opportunity for growth and to have Western experience, which many Australians do, obviously Western business experience, and being able to combine that with Asian experience makes you very employable in Asia. I think Australians in general have a great opportunity.
Heidi's thoughts are reflected in a recent study by UGM in partnership with the group Women on Boards that specifically looked at Australian women and the Asian century. It found they're thriving in leadership roles in this region with greater representation in the workplace. The survey also found there was less gender bias here compared to Australia.
I've not personally experienced gender as an issue. It's the value of experience is much more valued here. And I do think that we experience a greater degree of tolerance than maybe Asian women do, particularly in some markets, that Western women are given certain allowances which make it easier for us to get to senior roles. And I think that is a product of we've come up in the ranks in another region. So experience is valued here, is respected in Asia, more than gender is an issue.
I don't think Asia's necessarily cracked the women problem, so to speak. But if you look at, there's a lot more family companies and things like that, so you have a lot more women, certainly in Chinese companies in very senior positions.
Like Heidi Badgery, Kimberly Cole lives in Hong Kong and is also in a senior role. She's worked for Thomson Reuters for 23 years and now oversees 100 employees and is on the regional leadership team.
I think the big advantage being in Asia is access to affordable help. That makes a huge difference. Just on, being in a senior role, there is a lot of things that, you can't plan, or there are things that happen that you need to respond to. I think also being in a global organisation, there are calls that you have to have late at night, etc. So the ability to have help means that you can sort of balance that need to perform in the office, but then when you're at home, you can focus on quality time with the children, with your husband, etc., rather than having to put on a load of washing, go and do some supermarket shopping.
Employing a foreign domestic worker in Hong Kong is common amongst expats. The minimum monthly wage for a live-in helper is around $600 Australian. For working mothers like Heidi Badgery and Kimberly Cole, it makes childcare affordable and allows them to do the long hours and travel.
I'm on the road a lot. A lot of people think I'm never here, especially often my children. Probably travelling about at least, I'm going to the core centres every quarter. So Hong Kong, Singapore, Sydney and Tokyo being the sort of primary hubs that we have people in. But then you've got Indonesia, Vietnam, Taiwan, Korea as well. So I'm probably on the road for about 100 days a year.
It makes a significant difference having help in the home. Help in the home is available in Australia, but it's much harder to organise. It's much more expensive and it's much more complex.
The availability and affordability of childcare in Asian countries is highlighted in the UGM report as a practical reason for women's success in this region, and a point not lost on the majority of women going back to work 3 months after giving birth.
It's much more socially acceptable for women to stay working after they have children. There are a lot of different sort of support networks from the broader family around balancing the whole kind of work-life balance issue around having children.
I think there's just more opportunity in general in Asia, partly because of the freedom you can have. If you're a mother, a working mother in Australia, of course you're going to be restricted by your children's activities and school activities, etc. But in Asia, of course, you've got a lot more help, which allows you to be a good mother at the same time as, fulfilling your career opportunities as well. And, I see an awful lot of expatriates here setting up their own businesses, taking risks perhaps they wouldn't have taken, had they been at home.
While there's a growing trend towards diversifying company leadership teams, it's well known that some firmly entrenched barriers still hinder progress. For these two working mothers, both believe work-life balance can be achieved, but with trade-offs.
I've always believed in the you can have it all scenario, even though I know that's kind of a now controversial area. And the all is, I've never thought that I couldn't have a career and a family. I've always thought that having both was possible and that it shouldn't be a choice. Of course there's trade-offs and there is a balance to be struck. Therefore having the affordable help makes a huge difference.
As for living in Asia, Heidi Badgery says it's helped her successfully climb the career ladder. But she believes being an Australian has also played a part.
Well, I think there's still so much to do in Asia. It changes so rapidly, the dynamic shift between the markets, China and India, and being in Hong Kong is a great experience to see that and learn from it. But I also think being Australian is a competitive advantage professionally. I'd love to give that to my children. So I've been away from Australia for 16 years now, and I do think it still is the best place to live in the world.